I'll call the meeting to order of the State Senate, State Government Finance Policy and Elections Committee, today being Tuesday, February 22nd, 2022. This is the day of the twos, I guess. And so, and the day of the snow and the wind. So to all of you who braved the winter weather and came in anyway, we sure appreciate your presence here today. And we will proceed with our hearing as such. And we're going to take the roll, just procedure that we have. And so, Ms. Wilson, would you go ahead and take the roll?
Senator Kiffmeyer.
Present.
Senator Howe.
Present.
Senator Carlson. Senator Clausen.
Present.
Senator Fateh.
Present.
Senator Koran.
Present.
Senator Pratt.
Present.
Senator Osmick.
Present.
Senator Carlson. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. I'm just having to get my video on here, so we get that part of it. Okay, thank you very much, members. Appreciate having quorum again. And we're going to have our first bill today, Senate File 3251. Senator Koran, as a member of the committee, you can go ahead and make the motions.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move Senate File 3251. And Madam Chair, along with that, we do have, this is the first stop, we have an A1, an author's amendment that will add clarity to the bill. And if we'd like to do, I'd like to be able to move the A1 amendment to Senate File 3251.
Senator Koran moves the A1 amendment to Senate File 3251. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion prevails and is adopted. Okay, Senator Koran, to your bill as amended.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senate File 3251 is really a bill about good governance and the ability to clarify administrative capabilities for the Board of Accountancy around revocations, specifically revocations that started, the original part of the bill was to clarify around those that expired, licenses that expired, and the procedures and the image of anybody who maintains a license. What a revocation means was typically for an adverse action or something that they've done besides an expiration. And so what the bill now is comprised of is the Board of Accountancy provided the A1 amendment language, and their desire was to provide clarity across the board on what licenses they could deal or what scenarios that they could administratively renew licenses. When somebody has a renewal for expired license, it doesn't change any criteria for somebody to be relicensed or to reenact their license. They have to complete all the continuing edge, pay all the fees, fines, and all of those things. Doesn't change it. It's really the administrative piece. So with that, we have two testifiers, Mr. Gino Fragnito, and he could cover from their position what this bill means to them.
Thank you, Senator Koran. Welcome, Mr. Fragnito. Appreciate you being here today. And just go right ahead and state your name and title for the audio record. Then go ahead and give your testimony.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Gino Fragnito, and I'm the Government Relations Director at the Minnesota Society of CPAs. And this is a bill that we have brought forth and asked Senator Koran to carry, and we thank him for bringing it forward. He described it well. I don't have a whole lot to add to it other than I just would want to emphasize that the current status of the statute allows a revocation without a process for somebody who does not or fails to renew their license versus somebody who has malfeasance or has an issue. There's a process set up that the board can revoke it, but they're allowed to go through that process. And so this would provide a little parity and create a similar situation and treat all license revocations the same.
Thank you, Mr. Fragnito. Any additional comments? The other testifier, again, your name and for the record.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the body. Thank you. I'm Doreen Johnson. I'm the Executive Director of the Board of Accountancy. The Board of Accountancy is in favor of this bill. The automatic revocation is no longer necessary now that we have a national database as well for CPAs, and so people can find out online on a very quick basis whether or not somebody holds a valid license. The amendment addresses the need for us to address the reinstatement process and add the word expired to that provision. So again, it just cleans it up, and we are grateful and appreciate this ability to make this law change.
Thank you very much for your testimony. I appreciate that. I greatly understand the difference between something being categorized as a revocation when it really isn't, because the understanding generally is a revocation is more for cause. And this is a ministerial kind of a situation, and so we need to convert it into that. So I do understand that. I think that's a wise move to make that happen. Senator, members, any questions for our testifiers or author? Seeing none here at the table or online, Senator Koran, would you like to make a closing remark?
No, Senator, I'm sorry, Madam Chair, I think the bill clarifies the operational procedures for the Board of Accountancy, and it works for everybody. And I think it's just a good governance bill. With that, Madam Chair, I'd like to move Senate File 3251 as amended be recommended to pass and be referred to general orders.
On that motion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion prevails, is adopted, and it is on its way to general orders. Thank you, Senator Koran, and to all of the CPAs for a good bill. Okay, members, we're going to go on to the rest of our agenda today, and that is budget request presentations. Now, for those who may be listening to this, in a supplemental budget year, the governor puts forward a supplemental budget. It is not the only work that can be done, but is often a beginning place that we start from what the governor has proposed and the agencies included therein. And so we've done several others of these already in another day, and today we'll be taking the second group in regards to, so we'll start with the Attorney General. Welcome, Attorney General. Glad to have you with us here today.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Really a pleasure to be with you. And I want to note that you are right. It is 2/22/22, so that's got to be a good sign, right?
It's got to be a good sign. Thank you, Attorney General. And with that, again, your name stated for the audio record, and then you can go ahead and testify. Thank you.
So, Madam Chair, Senator Kiffmeyer, my name is Keith Ellison. I'm the Attorney General for the state of Minnesota. Let me also extend greetings to all committee members. It's an honor to be in front of you today. I want to thank you for inviting me here today, and I'd like to just introduce Laura Taken-Holtze, who is here with me today. She's running the slides. She may respond if needed, but I'll be doing most of the talking. But I am grateful for being here with you today, and before I get to change items in our supplemental budget request, I'd like to share with you again the role of the Attorney General's office and the monetary value that the office adds to both the state and to constituents. The role of the Attorney General dates well before the founding of the United States. It arose in English common law in the 13th century. In the United States, there are 57 Attorneys General in every state and U.S. territory in the District of Columbia. Of those 57, 43 are elected and the rest are appointed. State and territorial attorneys general have historically been leaders in many of the nation's most important consumer justice cases against big tobacco in the 1990s, against mortgage lenders in the housing crisis of the 2000s, against pharmaceutical companies, fraudulent student loan lenders, and opioid manufacturers and distributors in this last decade, and also against big tech companies in antitrust matters. These cases have been brought on a bipartisan basis with both Republican and Democratic attorney generals standing up for consumers together. Minnesota's Constitution establishes the office of Attorney General to serve as the state's chief legal officer. The role and duties of the Attorney General arise from the Constitution, state statutes, particularly Chapter 8, and case law. The Minnesota Attorney General's office has four main duties. One, the Attorney General represents more than 100 state agencies, boards, and commissions. Representing these agencies is our bread and butter. Two, the Attorney General protects the people of the state of Minnesota and upholds and enforces the state consumer protection laws, but also antitrust laws and charities laws. In Minnesota Statutes 8.31, the legislature has directed the Attorney General to investigate and prosecute, quote, violations of the law of this state respecting unfair, discriminatory, and other unlawful practices in business, commerce, or trade. Third, when appropriate, the Attorney General defends the constitutionality of state statutes. Fourth, the Attorney General is a partner to the county attorneys across Minnesota, especially in smaller counties, in taking on important criminal prosecutions when they don't have the resources to handle the cases. It's important to note that the Minnesota Attorney General's office, like some other Attorney General's offices around the country, does not have independent authority to prosecute criminal cases, except in cases in Medicaid fraud. Kirsty Pupor was here last year testifying against regarding Medicaid fraud, some of you may recall. Under Minnesota Statutes 8.01, however, we may prosecute a criminal case if we're asked to do so by a county or assigned to by the governor. Year over year, the Minnesota Attorney General's office returns money to both the state coffers and directly to Minnesota taxpayers. Though the office wins millions of dollars in awards for the state of Minnesota, none of these funds go to our own operating budget, not even costs. From state coffers, this takes the form of settlements reached, whether that money goes into general fund or into dedicated funds. For example, last year we recovered $81 million from big tobacco corporations for past due obligations under the 1998 tobacco settlement. Last August, my office joined a historic $26 billion multi-state settlement agreement with 3 pharmaceutical distributors and opioid manufacturers, that's Johnson & Johnson and others. Over 18 years, Minnesota stands to receive about $300 million from this settlement for remediation, prevention, and treatment. There are many examples that I can cite today of both larger and smaller settlements that have returned millions of dollars directly to the state coffers, but I'd be happy to give you more detail if you let me know. The Attorney General's office also puts money directly back into the Minnesotans' pockets, whether through litigation or mediation. Examples of litigation that directly help Minnesota consumers include last year, my office reached the conclusion of a 7-year-long lawsuit against the now defunct Minnesota School of Business and Globe University that is finally putting $40 million in restitution and debt relief into the pockets of students and across our state. Last month, we reached a settlement with Navient, student loan servicer, to provide $14 million in relief to Minnesota students. Earlier this month, we reached a settlement with the Wilmer-based landlord to refund nearly 900 tenant households a utility surcharge that it illegally imposed on them, as well as late fees. The refunds will put up to $60,000 back into the pockets of tenants in the Wilmer and Marshall areas. When it comes to mediation, in the last fiscal year, our Consumer Action Division intervened directly with companies on consumers' behalf and returned $7.8 million directly back to consumers. I'm very proud of the work of this group. Now, I'd like to turn to our budget. I'd like to start by thanking you for the investments you've made in our office over the last 2 biennia. They've made and continue to make a positive difference to our ability to serve the state and the people of our state. And I'd like to report back to you briefly what we've done with the money. We made significant investments in information technology that are bringing the office into the 21st century. We've hired some new attorneys, retained others, and kept the salary gap between our office and other large public law offices from growing. We have not made up the difference, but we've stopped it from growing. And that's to the benefit of Minnesotans because it allows us to keep institutional memory and expertise in their service. I've hired staff for a new unit to fight wage theft with the budgetary resources and new enforcement authority you gave us. And we've hired staff to expand our antitrust enforcement, which is of particular importance to people in greater Minnesota. But we still have a lot of ground to make up. And if I may direct your attention to the next slide, you'll see that for fiscal year 2023, our general fund appropriation is currently $26.19 million. By way of comparison, 20 years ago, the general fund appropriation for the Attorney General's office appropriation was $26.83 million, almost identical to our 2023 general fund appropriation, slightly less, actually. But when you factor in inflation, that appropriation from 20 years ago is the equivalent of $38 million in today's dollars. This means that our 2023 appropriation is worth 30% less in inflation-adjusted dollars than it was 20 years ago. In those 20 years, however, Minnesota population has grown, society has become more complex and litigious. The challenges Minnesotans face in affording their lives and living with dignity, safety, and respect are more daunting day by day, and we must close the gap between those challenges and the resources of the Minnesota Attorney General's office to help Minnesotans meet those challenges. Allow me to make two other quick points. Slide number 6, please. One, where our money comes from. 56%, a little more than half of our revenue comes from the general fund appropriation, with 28% coming from partner revenue. That means we bill other agencies of the state, meaning the fees that Minnesotan agencies, boards, and commissions pay our office for their services. The rest comes from other sources. Slide number 7, please. Second, I'd like you to know where we spend the money. You'll see on this slide that it is a straightforward 81% of our revenue goes to salaries and benefits that support our people, with the rest going toward administrative expenses and expenses like rent and so forth. Now, to the change items. Madam Chairman and members, I'd like to draw your attention to the change item request that we have. We have 2 requests in front of you. In order, they are these. Number 1, investments in criminal enforcement. And you may recall seeing this request in years past. We continue to believe that it is essential. In fact, given recent crime statistics, it may be more important than ever. And number 2, investments in our operating adjustments, including retention of talent and right-sizing of critical administrative staffing. Let me talk about criminal enforcement first. Our first change request is for investment in criminal enforcement by helping Greater Minnesota County attorneys prosecute violent criminal behavior and other complex crimes that harm consumers and businesses. As I said before, under Section 8.01, a county attorney may request the Attorney General to prosecute a case with it or for it. It is almost always the case the county attorneys who request this help from the Attorney General's office are from Greater Minnesota. Not exclusively, but almost usually always. And the reason is that in many counties, you have shops that have 1 or 2 or 3 lawyers, and you may not have a violent homicide happen there for decades at a time. So when they do happen, the offices are understaffed and are in need of partnership, and I believe it's our job to be there and work with those counties to make sure that we uphold public safety and criminal accountability. I'm proud of the staff in our criminal division. In just the last 3 years, with only 3 full-time prosecutors, which, by the way, Madam Chair, is up from when I took office because I added 2 more by simply moving around existing resources. They have investigated and made charging decisions about and prosecuted 33 cases for murder, manslaughter, criminal vehicular homicide, and criminal sexual conduct with outstanding results. 28 of the 33 cases that we have handled have been on behalf of counties in 18 counties in Greater Minnesota, and these counties are all rural counties. We have stepped up in rare occasions for Hennepin and Ramsey, but overwhelmingly, it's the large number that I hope is on the next slide. I don't want to read all these names, but there you go. They're Aiken, Becker, Beltrami, Carlton, Chippewa, and you all can read the list. But we think it is critical that we partner for public safety for all Minnesotans. But this small but mighty division has won excellent results everywhere and is making a major contribution to public safety in every corner of the state. Unfortunately, in the past, AGs have decided to emphasize some areas and to de-emphasize the criminal area. That is not what I think this moment calls for, so we've asked for greater resources. Previous administrations significantly reduced resources for the criminal division, which cut into the level of service that the office can provide county attorneys and our ability to respond to their requests. Because of this reduction, the AGO has not had the capacity to fully lend support in prosecuting the full range of violent and complex crimes, high-impact white-collar crimes, or cross-county crimes such as sex trafficking and financial exploitation. We want to contribute even more to helping county attorneys prosecute serious violent crime in Minnesota, and we're ready and willing to do so. We simply need the resources to do it. With more resources, we will gradually build our office's capacity to aid counties to enforce criminal laws in their jurisdiction that are beyond the scope of their normal resources and aid in the enforcement of criminal laws in our state. In addition, we will build capacity to prosecute crimes that hurt Minnesotans' economic security. More resources will also allow our office to provide county attorneys with more help on appeals. In the last 3 years, we did about 167 appeals, and we gave counties assistance with involuntary commitments for sexually dangerous persons, and all of these things are resource intensive. Our request is $1.8 million for FY23 and ongoing, which is a 3.3% increase in our base budget. I'm proud that the Minnesota County Attorneys Association supports the requests. You may hear from Mr. Bob Small, Executive Director of that esteemed organization. Mr. Small, by the way, has an esteemed career as a 4th Judicial District judge, and so he's seen everything as it relates to the criminal justice system. All right, and on to number 2. Our second change item is for retention and recruitment of attorneys, support staff, combined with right-sizing the administrative side of our office. The Attorney General's office is the second largest public law office in Minnesota. Few law offices carry and handle the wide range of matters that we do. Our clients include more than 100 state agencies, boards, and commissions, and we handle more than 7,000 legal files a year. Retaining expert workforce is essential for the AGO to serve Minnesotans. Our attorneys earn less than public attorneys for local metropolitan counties. Hennepin and Ramsey pay better than we do, and yet we have a wide range of very complicated matters to handle for Minnesota, and almost a third less than the attorneys at the U.S. Attorney's Office. This gap in earnings can make it challenging for us to retain public interest-minded attorneys. Sometimes our attorneys leave us for these other public law offices, and I cannot complain, Madam Chair, because everybody deserves to be paid fairly, better if they can be. But the people of Minnesota also need to have quality and well-trained and experienced legal talent. The capacity, and also now to the issue of administration. The capacity of our administrative, non-legal side of our office has always been tight. It's never not been. It's tighter than ever now, as we're asking them to use more sophisticated technology and handle more cases. While employees of the office are very resourceful and continue to serve their colleagues well, the capacity of critical internal administrative functions like human resources, information technology, and finance to meet the needs of the office are stretched not to the limits, beyond the limits. So Minnesotans would be better served if we were able to enhance our administrative functions, and we ask for your support an operating adjustment request for $2.33 billion for FY23 and ongoing. And this is a 4.3% increase in our base budget. That's my presentation for today, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Attorney General Ellison. Just to mention, as everybody knows, you're always welcome to the committee, whether you are invited or you see a bill you're interested in, mentions your name, anything else like that. That is the standard procedure for this committee.
Thank you.
Just want to mention on your first slide, when you talk about duties of the Attorney General, And number 3, it says, defends the constitutionality of state statutes when appropriate. Could you comment on when it's not appropriate to represent the constitutionality of state statutes?
Yes, Madam Chair, thanks for asking me that. There are occasions, and I can give you one quick example, when a state statute might be clearly in violation of either the Constitution or might be clearly preempted by federal law. I'll give you an example about preemption. A few years ago, we had a state statute that said you could assist no more than 3 people when you were filling out a ballot. That was Minnesota law. Well, the federal law says that if you need assistance, you can get whoever you want. And our reading of that was that if you had already helped 3 people, and somebody wanted you to help them, you would have to say no under Minnesota law. Under the Federal Voting Rights Act, that was not the law. So we came to the conclusion that was clearly preempted. So there are rare occasions. They are rare. They don't happen much, but they do exist sometimes. In my predecessor's experience, there was another law that had to do with press access that conflicted with some federal constitutional law, and they had to enter into a consent decree.
Thank you, Attorney General. My position has always been, and I've been advised by judges as such, that a law is constitutional until the court says it is not, and that it's not up to us to do that. And so I would respectfully disagree. I think the Attorney General's role is to defend those statutes as such and then leave the decision of constitutionality up to the court. I also want to mention on the second slide that the returning money to the state of Minnesota, there are many entities that do return money to the state of Minnesota, but that is why the budgets are there, so that you can do that work, and certainly accomplishing that is an important consideration. I tried to make that case in previous years that there was more money generated than the budget and didn't go very far. So the expectation is that you do good work with the funds that you are given. A question for you on the supplemental budget request on the list of counties. I just want to make sure you mentioned Hennepin and Ramsey. Is it that you give them assistance when requested as well? Because they're not on the list here of the counties.
Yeah,
Attorney
we
General.
do lend assistance to them when asked.
Okay, because they have substantial county attorneys in those offices that are well experienced, unlike maybe, but I think usually for each level. So I just wanted to be sure that the list was complete. With that, I will turn it over to members who might have questions. Either we'll watch for your hands up online or here at the desk.
Madam Chair, may I just point out that
Attorney General Ellison.
sometimes there are legal conflicts that make a case have to move, even if that office does have a lot of attorneys. They might be conflicted out of the case. So I just want to point that out to Your Honor.
Thank you, Attorney General. Senator Howe.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Attorney General Ellison, I got a question. When you went over your sources of funding, the question I had, you said there was other sources, but you didn't name those sources. Could you just explain what those other sources and how much money that is and where it came from?
Right, I'd be
Attorney
more than
General.
happy to do so. Thank you. So as you can tell from my presentation on sources, we have money that comes from the general fund, money from our partnership agreements. We also have money that comes from the federal government to do our Medicaid fraud work. We also have sources of funds from grants that we apply for. And one example is we are right now building our capacity to protect people from sex trafficking. So we got a grant from McKnight Foundation to help do some of the preliminary work to get that done. We also got a grant from the Great North Innocence Project to do some work regarding people who have credible claims of innocence. And we've also had a grant from the New York University Law School to work on environmental protection matters.
Senator Howe.
So those are the other sources, and there's no other sources that you have?
None come to
Attorney
mind.
General, we just need to respect the committee here. Attorney General.
You're right, Madam Chair, and I do know better. I'll just be more patient. I know of no others as I sit here. If some come to mind, I'll let you know. It's certain, absolutely.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Senator Howe.
Attorney General, so the New York University, to work on environmental stuff, is that environment in Minnesota or in other parts of the country?
Attorney General.
The work is on behalf of the state of Minnesota, and generally it's for matters that occur in Minnesota. However, there are some environmental matters that come up that affect Minnesota and other places, and it's not unusual for our office to work with other states on those things.
Senator Howe.
Well, Attorney General Ellison, I think that I find that rather odd myself, because I would think that you would confine those aspects to Minnesota when you work on those types of issues. If you've got time to have your staff work outside of Minnesota on environmental issues, I start to wonder how that affects your request for more FTEs if they have the time to go outside of Minnesota and work on other states' issues.
Madam
Thank you,
Chair?
Senator Howe. Attorney General.
I think, Senator, you're not understanding what I'm saying. I'm saying that all of the work that they do is in and on behalf of the state of Minnesota. But if there is a multi-state case that affects a number of states, including Minnesota, they might work on that. Does that clarify?
Thank you, Attorney General. Okay. Attorney General, you mentioned that you have fees that also contribute to your budget.
Yes.
Have those fees increased over the past years, or are they pretty flat?
We have asked for increases in fees, but they have been generally flat. But we have had some increased requests that we've made to our clients that we serve.
Okay, are those fees, thank you, Attorney General, are those fees set in statute or set by your office, Attorney General?
Madam Chair, they're negotiated through my office and the agency.
Okay, so Attorney General, what you're saying is, are the bulk majority of these fees to agencies, or I see a list here of IT, e-discovery, legal subscriptions, non-IT legal operations, and rent 6%. So those are having to do with agencies paying you money? Like, what would you rent, Attorney General?
Madam Chair, the list you laid out is expenses. That's that we're paying for.
Oh.
I thought you were asking.
Spending by category, yes.
Right.
I was looking at this as when you had talked about it, as I was reading through for it, uses of the funds. So that's use, my mistake then. Thank you very much for clarifying that. Then I would just like to go and say, you mentioned it, but significantly, this committee has respected the work of the Attorney General's office financially in a very significant way. And so I'm glad you recognize that. Members, any other questions that we have for the Attorney General's office? I'm not seeing any right now, so thank you very much, Attorney General. I appreciate your time here today.
Madam Chair, thank you very much. And as you've extended an invitation to me, I would extend it to all the members. If they want to talk one-on-one online, I'd be more than happy to do so. Thank you.
One moment. Senator Clausen has popped up with a question. Go ahead, Senator Clausen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And just a comment of appreciation to our Attorney General's office. When you look at the budget where we were in 2002 and where we are in 2023, it's quite starking to see with all the complex issues that the office is dealing with and looking at, we really have not increase that budget. In fact, it's gone backwards in 20 years. So I appreciate the work of the Attorney General's office, and Attorney General Ellison, thank you for your work.
Thank you, Senator Clausen. Okay, no question there. So thank you very much for your testimony and for being here today.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to members.
Okay, members. Okay. We have another testifier today. Mr. Small, I believe you are online, so I was kind of looking for you, but I didn't see what my staff informed me that you are online. So, Mr. Small, if you would like to testify today or not, it's your decision.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I'll be very brief. Madam Chair, members of the committee, let me introduce myself. My name is Robert Small. I am the Executive Director of the Minnesota County Attorneys Association. Members, you have received letters from a number of our county attorneys, including one from our president, Carver County Attorney Mark Metz, expressing their support and the importance of this support for the Attorney General's office supplemental budget request. I'm here to let the committee know that our association speaks with one voice on this. It's because the assistance of the Attorney General, particularly to members of our greater Minnesota County attorneys who have a staff of 1, 2, or maybe 3 attorneys, of the importance for effective prosecution of criminal cases across the state. The supplemental budget request will help all our county attorneys deliver justice across the state, especially in the prosecution of complex crimes and other things that the Attorney General mentioned. So it's that supplemental budget request that our association supports, and I would stand for any questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Small. Appreciate that. Mr. Small, my understanding is the County Attorney Association is also asking for more funds. Excuse me. I did. I'll get it. Okay. I didn't realize when I hit this button, it affected that button too, so won't touch that button anymore. So, Mr. Small, in regards to the County Attorney Association, I'm carrying a bill for you in regards to the county attorneys strengthening your trial school that you offer through the County Attorney Association. And I'm very glad to carry that because I think a great dollar value is to strengthen the county attorneys themselves so that they have better skills in regards to prosecuting in their own counties. Might you address that, Mr. Small?
Madam Chair, thank you for the question. Yes, we are asking for an additional $25,000 to supplement our training opportunities for a trial school. We are experiencing a lot of turnover and retirements and the like, and we are bringing on lots of new attorneys, and it's important for them to get good training from about their trial skills. Particularly now with so much going on Zoom, it's a particular challenge to gather these people together and teach them the art of trying a case.
Thank you, Mr. Small. I very much understand that and see that it is a very important part. I think it's really important that wherever we can, that we strengthen our own local county attorneys, the knowledge and skills that they have, and the duties and responsibilities that they have, no matter whether it is a change of the guard, you might say, and new ones coming in who are fresh. Well, that's great. We need that. I sometimes say we don't want to be the Dead Sea. We want to be more like the Sea of Galilee with an inflow and an outflow in balance with each other, not just kind of stationary. So I appreciate that request from the County Attorney Association. Glad to carry that bill to strengthen the prosecutors on those local counties. Thank you, Mr. Small. I appreciate your testimony. You would like to make
Thank you
another
very much.
comment? Go ahead, Mr. Small.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to speak to another part of the Attorney General's request. So in my prior life, I was the first assistant United States Attorney. And during my time as the first assistant United States Attorney, much to the chagrin of the Attorney General's office, we were able to hire a number of their outstanding staff. Tim Rank comes to mind, John Doherty comes to mind, Steve Slisher comes to mind, Tracy Prezell comes to mind, all of the staff from the Attorney General's office who we were able to offer a higher salary. And so I just wanted to briefly mention that because what the Attorney General said is real, that the United States Attorney does pay higher, and we were able to get some really great staff from, we were able to steal their staff. So I just wanted to mention that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Small. That is always the case. We appreciate the fact that employees have those kinds of opportunities, and for a variety of reasons that they will do that. But nonetheless, there are those who are particularly interested in that, and I appreciate your comments. Thank you, Mr. Small. With that, members, we've concluded the Attorney General's office, and we're going to go ahead now and move to the budget request, supplemental budget request of the Secretary of State office. Welcome, Secretary Simon. Glad to have you here today. If you just want to go ahead and introduce yourself, and then also for the audio record, that's particularly important. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Madam Chair and members. Steve Simon, Minnesota Secretary of State. Though she's capable of introducing herself, I want to introduce you, if I may, to Nicole Freeman, our new Director of Government Relations. She comes to us directly from Washington County, where she ran elections for the county. She was the elections administrator for the whole county, a large county in Minnesota. So when it comes to matters on election administration, I hope that you'll always feel free to take advantage of her particular expertise.
Welcome, Ms. Freeman.
Madam Chair and members, it's great to be with you. This is, I believe, my first in-person hearing in nearly 2 years, and it feels great to be in front of you. And thank you for providing this hybrid option so that folks can come here or they can Zoom in as well. Members, before I get into the two supplemental budget requests today, and I have no slideshow, this is going to be an old school presentation. They're just two, and they're relatively small dollar. Just a reminder that we make more money than we cost. We cost roughly north of $15 million per biennium, and we make about $37 million per biennium. So we are a small profit center for the state of Minnesota. So I'm here to present two supplemental budget requests. One is familiar to you members, as it was included last year in our budget request. The other one is new, and they're not particularly complicated or lengthy. The first request includes funding for one voter outreach staff, one FTE, focused on youth, civics, and voter education. And I have to point out that this is a demand-side request. It's not something that we in our office sat around thinking would be a good idea. Our partners are saying they really need more from us, and they need it not just in bursts towards the end of an election cycle. I'm talking about groups we work with like the YMCA, like 4-H, like public libraries, like schools all over Minnesota, K-12, 2-year, 4-year colleges, public, private, et cetera. They're telling us that they need and want more from us. So the youth education programs that the office is currently engaged in are only typically in the statewide general election years and only in the few months leading up to the election. And so having this full-time civic engagement and youth outreach staff would allow us to provide more consistent outreach. That's materials, that's appearances, that's answering questions from students and administrators, and they have many, many questions. So in addition, this funding would help support our Students Vote high school mock election program. We started this in 2016, and some of you have heard us and others talk about this before. This started in 2016 as an effort in high schools only. It started when over 96,000 high school students from about 281 High schools across Minnesota cast their votes in this mock election, and since then, it's really taken on a life of its own, and we've taken on new partners in doing this work. Now it's not just a high school program, it's all schools across the state. Both, elementary school, middle school, and junior high and high schools as well. So hundreds and hundreds of school buildings. And again, this position would allow us to engage in that work on a more thoughtful and I think on a more consistent basis. And again, I have to emphasize, our partners are saying they really need and want more from us as a partner. The second request, Madam Chair and members, and Madam Chair, you might take a particular interest in this one. Our second request is IT related. It would be a request to add a Chief Information Officer, or CIO, to our staff. We don't have one right now. The programs of our office continue to increase in complexity, and we have found that a CIO position, a person with whom the buck really stops for some of these long-range IT decisions, is needed to determine project prioritization and increase IT and cybersecurity collaboration in the office. So each program of the office has unique technology needs, obviously, and they all require ongoing technological development, investment, and maintenance. And we think that each of the divisions of the office would be served well by strong and competent IT leaders as they are now, but folks who also can report to a singular person who can make some of those bigger decisions. Right now, it's a little more fragmented in the office, and that has served us well up until now. But we think that along with many states in this realm, it's time to move to a CIO model. And Madam Chair, I mention your particular interest because when you were Secretary of State, you brought in a CIO to the office. My predecessor decided to go in a different direction, and that position was eliminated. But we think it's time to bring back what you, Madam Chair, brought to the office originally. And we have looked before we've leapt. That is to say, we've been pretty surgical about reaching across the country, not only to the National Association of Secretaries of State, which has been a great advocate and very helpful, but to several individual Secretary of State offices led by Secretaries of State of both political parties, asking them about their movement in this direction. Many other states, Maine is the most recent, just moved to a CIO model, and other Secretary of State offices are as well. So we've reached out to people nationwide. The cost comparatively is minimal compared, I think, to some of the other requests that you've received. So those are the two requests. One is for the voter outreach position, the additional one, and the other one is to move to a CIO model, something that we think is really needed as we navigate more challenging IT waters in the future. So as always, Ms. Freeman and myself and all of our office staff are available at any time for members. And by the way, that includes me not having to be in the room. If there's folks that you want to talk to in our office, you're always welcome to. And I hope all of you know you can reach out to me personally with any questions, concerns, pushback, anything you've got. Madam Chair, I'm ready to stand for questions or comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Simon. By the way, to be clear, we did not have a CIO in the Secretary of State office during my tenure of 8 years. We also did tremendous IT work with a Director of Information Technology, highly skilled, and it was a team effort, but we did not have a CIO. I just want to be clear about that. And with that, I have other members who would like to ask a question at this time. I'm not sure. I thought I saw a hand go up, but I'm not sure right now. Senator Pratt.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Mr. Secretary of State. You mentioned that you bring in more than you expend, and I don't recall this being part of your budget request last year for a CIO. Why wasn't it part of your budget request? And also, why can't you use some of the funding that you have in place, the quote-unquote profit that your agency's making?
Secretary Simon.
Madam Chair, thank you. And just a quick follow-up, Madam Chair. Maybe there's just a difference in kind of categorization. What you had as Secretary of State was a person who was in charge, the position that you described. But as we looked to HR and the Department of Administration and MMB, that position is now called a CIO, and that position is now the position that we are seeking. It's the same categorization, same classification. It may have undergone a wording change, but we are seeking literally to fill a position of the same kind. It may have gone by another name during your tenure in the office.
Well, thank you, but I would tell you that it's very important to categorize what it was, and since you referenced it in that respect, I think it's more accurate what I have said. The fact that they have changed something right now is no point. But the bigger thing is the work that was done. We got the work done, and as we all said, it wasn't about the titles, it was about getting things done for the people of Minnesota, and those IT provisions are still there. Senator Pratt, I'm interrupting your process, so I'll get back to you, Senator Pratt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, you're the chair, so you can do it. So again, Secretary Simon, just to repeat the question, I don't recall the CIO position being in your budget request last year. You mentioned that you're for lack of a better term, profit center in the state. Why do we need an increase in the state in the state's expenditure to your office when you've got margin potentially that can be used, and why wasn't it part of your budget request last year?
Thank you, Mr.
Secretary Simon.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Senator Pratt. Well, we can't use any of that money. It's hands-off statutorily. We wish we could draw on those funds, but we can't. Oh, is the
Secretary
microphone
Simon.
on? Okay. Thank you. Madam Chair, if I may, Senator Pratt, we would love to use any portion of those dollars, but we can't. Those are already claimed into the general fund. Those are largely fees that are set by you, by legislators, and they go right into the general fund. So we have no opportunity, no legal opportunity to intercept or use those funds in any way. There have been proposals, particularly on the House side. I know Representative Nash has had a proposal allowing agencies like ours, not only ours, to keep some small percent, maybe 1 or 2%, maybe north of that, for IT purposes. That's an ongoing discussion at the legislature, but no, those monies are simply not available to us. As to the second part of your question, Senator, you're right. One of these requests is an old one, one from this last regular session, and one is new. This is a new one. You're correct. It was not in the prior budget request, and the reason for that is this has been an ongoing discussion. You know, I have to say, I'm proud about the fact we don't come to you with things unless we're really sure that we want or need them. And this has been a really long inquiry on the part of our office. It's not just something that we snapped our fingers and decided we need it. We've talked to experts, both in and out of government and in other states, to determine how it's worked in their office. So no, it was not part of our regular budget, but it is now a priority of the office.
Senator Pratt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Secretary Simon, why wouldn't Minute provide these services? We're already paying for IT support across all state agencies.
Secretary Simon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Senator Pratt, we are not folded into Minute. Unlike most state agencies, we are not. And we haven't been in modern history. As Senator Kiffmeyer knows from her time as Secretary, there are large IT projects like the one that she built, the statewide voter registration system, that really do uniquely belong within the office. And so there are a few things that Minute does for us, email and phones and things like that, but we are independent. We have our own IT staff.
Thank you. Just to mention, I think probably sometimes the realization that every single employee within, especially a constitutional officer, Attorney General, Secretary of State, State Auditor, is at the direction of those officers. They establish the organizational chart. They give titles. They use their staff to meet the goals of the office and the needs of the office to the best of their ability. But those titles and all those things are at the discretion of the Secretary of State, of the Attorney General. As the Attorney General mentioned, he moved 2 employees into the Criminal Prosecution Division. That is the discretion of the Attorney General to see what is the most important needs, and that is always there, no matter what the budget is. And I think it's important for, everybody to kind of recognize that. Senator Howe.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Secretary Simon, I'm wondering, the absentee ballot working group, the absentee ballot drop box working group that was established, can you help me understand, when did they last meet, and when are they scheduled to meet again?
Secretary Simon.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Senator Howe. Yes, I don't know what you call it. I guess you could call it a working group. It's really informal. It wasn't in statute. But a number of us, including the chair and me and legislators from both parties and some outside stakeholders, most importantly from the counties, cities, and townships, We met before session started. I don't know that we necessarily set another time to meet, other than we would all review some of the statutory language. The chair sent over some language that she had suggested last session, but I don't know at this point. I can check with other folks in our office about what feedback we've gotten from other legislators, but we are available on an ongoing basis, and we're happy to meet virtually at the drop of a hat. So if other folks want to meet to talk about that, I'm game.
Senator Howell?
Thank you, Madam Chair and Secretary Simon. I do believe that I think that's still an important topic, especially in an election year like we're coming into. I think that's an important topic that we still should work on, because I don't think all the questions and concerns have probably been answered that the public continues to ask. So I think that that's something we can continue to work on, and I look forward to having those discussions.
So Secretary Simon, does that mean then your intention is not to call the group together again? Secretary Simon?
Madam Chair, no. I think this, too, is sort of a demand-side issue. If there's an appetite among legislators, absolutely. I mean, we're happy to discuss language or propose language. You would send over some from last year. I know of no particular bill activity since that meeting. There are some bills from last year, but we're happy to be part of any solution that folks want to propose.
Okay, we have a question or comment. Senator Clausen?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm not sure how Senator Howe's question really relates to the budget discussion that we're having at this time, but I do have a comment. Secretary Simon, I really appreciate your work on the civic and outreach position. I think the earlier that we can involve young people in the election process, I think that's very important, and the high school mock election has been extremely popular and successful. So I really appreciate the work in this area, and also that you're looking for additional resources to place in this area. So thank you.
Thank you, Senator Clausen. All right, members. Senator Carlson.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. And one comment that, I want to actually reinforce Senator Clausen's comment on getting young people involved. We really need to work on that as hard and as much as possible, because that's part of their civics education, and it gets them used to being involved in their own government, and that's where our replacements come from. But also, I have a question that's a little bit different area, and that's on the drop boxes, and what questions still remain on that. Secretary Simon, do you have any set of questions that has come back to you that we should be meeting on drop boxes? Because I think there has been a lot of discussion about drop boxes, and and actually we've had probably a couple of bills. There's been some nationwide discussion of it. Is there something that you have, or a notebook that you have with questions on it, that we can consider our direction for work in this committee?
Senator Carlson, Senator Clausen just criticized Senator Howe for going in that direction. Now you are as well. I will have Secretary Simon respond to your question, though.
Madam Chair, I'm not curious. I'm supporting Senator Hall. He has a question, and I think we need to find out what the answers are of that.
Thank you, Senator Carlson. Secretary Simon.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. And Senator Carlson, first of all, thanks for your comments about the youth outreach. I'll note that in 2020, Minnesota was #1 in the country for the third time in a row in voter participation. Among 18 to 29-year-olds, we were #2 in the country. So New Jersey, if you're hearing footsteps, that's us coming after you for the #1 slot. Senator Carlson, as to your question about drop boxes, a number of issues have been raised, and just to level set for the sake of the public, in the special session in June, the legislature, after some negotiation, passed some really common sense guardrails and guidelines and requirements, really, for drop boxes. And some of them are real common sense things. they've got to be tamper-proof, they've got to be weatherproof, and notably, if they're a 24/7 Dropbox, they have to have eyes on them, either human or video, 24/7. The question is, now what? And I think the language that I'm seeing going back and forth has to do with the retention period, who retains the data. There are some proposals, for example, that perhaps Minute would retain that data from all the Dropbox video, if there is video and not human eyes. Questions of that kind tend to predominate at this point. So, I certainly don't have a vote in the House or Senate. I'm open to hearing about or hearing from legislators on any manner of proposals, those and others.
Thank
Happy
you.
to meet as well, or happy to just receive them and comment.
Thank you, Secretary Simon. Thank you, Senator Carlson and Clausen, and Senator Howe, and all of those who take the opportunity to ask questions here today. With that, we've concluded the hearing on the supplemental budget requests from the Secretary of State office. Thank you, Secretary of State Simon and Ms. Freeman, for being here as well.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members.
We'll go on to the next Minnesota Historical Society for the presentation of their supplemental budget request. Welcome, Mr. Whitworth and Mr. Kelleher to State Government Committee. Appreciate your presence here today. You can go ahead and state your name and title and agency you represent for the audio record, and then you can go ahead and testify. Mr. Whitworth, I believe you'll start.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Kent Whitworth, and I serve as the Director and CEO of the Minnesota Historical Society. Joining me is David Kelleher, Director of Public Policy and Governmental Relations. Madam Chair, members of the committee, thank you for this opportunity to present these two supplemental budget requests as recommended by the Governor. We do appreciate your previous support for the work of the Minnesota Historical Society. MNHS is a statewide organization. We were founded by the territorial legislature in 1849 and have been partners with the state of Minnesota since statehood. We are sometimes known as a quasi-state agency as we carry out functions as outlined in state statutes. We collect evidence of Minnesota's past and preserve this information and materials for today's Minnesotans as well as for future generations. Our work takes place at the History Center, right up the street from the Capitol, where literally millions of manuscripts and objects are stored and made accessible, as well as at historic sites around the state. Some very familiar places, such as Split Rock Lighthouse, historic Fort Snelling, the Oliver Kelly Farm in Elk River, and Jeffers petroglyphs, but these are just a few of the 26 locations open to the public through this network. As we carry out functions in partnership with the state of Minnesota, our funding is a mix of state support, which is sincerely appreciated, as well as earned revenue from activities such as admissions and store sales, as well as donations. The first request is for an operating adjustment of $500,000 in FY23. These funds would be used to pay for increased cost of employee health care and staff compensation. This funding will allow us to properly support staff salaries and wages, as well as benefits. The second request is for the cost of reopening historic sites and museums, as well as history programs. This request is for $750,000 in FY23. Certainly, we are not the only organization that has been hit hard by the pandemic and economic challenges. We have had temporary closures, and pre-pandemic visitation levels are returning gradually. An important activity that supplements state general fund dollars is earned revenue from admissions, store sales, and other income-generating activities. This revenue has been millions of dollars behind pre-pandemic levels, and this request would help to bridge our reopening efforts until revenue-generating activities get back up to full speed. Visitation comes from a variety of audience types. including family visitors, tourists, and school children. Not surprisingly, school groups have been very slow to return. Our hope is that in this calendar year, perhaps as early as this spring, school groups will start to return to historic sites and the History Center, and that we can support their visits with the proper level of staffing. We have adjusted hours at our sites, and we continue to tweak operations based on visitation patterns. Madam Chair, I'm happy to answer questions that you or the committee members may have. Thank you once again for the support of the Committee for the Minnesota Historical Society.
Thank you, Mr. Whitworth. Mr. Kelleher, do you wish to make any comments?
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the record, I'm David Kelleher, Minnesota Historical Society. I'm here to answer any questions that you or the committee members may have. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Kelleher. Main question I have, and I'm looking at some of the materials and I had requested information, I'm just not seeing it right now, on federal funds received by the Minnesota Historical Society. Am I missing it? I have this piece that you handed out that I have anyway.
Madam Chair, I'm happy to address the question about federal funds received by the Minnesota Historical Society. MNHS was actually too large and not eligible for the PPP funds, nor have we received any ARP federal funds that came to the state of Minnesota. I am pleased to report, though, that we did receive an employee retention credit through the federal government. In FY20, we booked receipt of $813,000. We received that in the summer of 2021. And then we also booked $1.8 million in FY21, which was a part of the employee retention credit. To date, we have not received that payment. We have not received any mission-oriented federal funds since the pandemic started, but we did receive, we were awarded a National Endowment for the Humanities grant to support our newspaper digitization project in 2019, and those funds were expended during part of the pandemic. We did apply for an NEH grant that was put together, or an NEH grant program that was offered in response to the pandemic, but we were not successful with that grant. But my point here is that we have pursued federal funding both on the relief front and also on the mission delivery front during the pandemic.
Okay, I appreciate that information. So that's about $2.6 million that came your way in a variety of those things, and you have not had the money yet, but you're anticipating it coming along the way here. Appreciate that. I'm trying to think if there were some other things. Certainly, I appreciate your being here in person today. Any other? I see Senator Carlson. Okay. Senator Carlson, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I have a question for the testifier, Mr. Whitworth. Madam Chair, I'd like to ask if perhaps Mr. Whitworth could give a little more background on those funds that have not been received. Were they grants, or were they something that what came as just federal funds without having to apply for grants? And what's the background of not getting them yet? What is the situation, and is that a promise that's not going to be fulfilled?
Mr. Whitworth.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senator Carlson, I will begin the response to the question and turn to my colleague, David Kelleher, for further context. But the employee retention credit, as I understand, was a federal initiative that was designed to encourage people, organizations to keep people employed, and so that you received a financial credit based on the number of people you were able to retain on staff. I think with this being a new initiative, that there has been somewhat of an administrative backlog, which is why there is a delay in receipt. But as I said, we booked a little over $800,000 in late June of 2020. It was about 13, 14 months later that we received those funds. So we do anticipate that second credit, but as I said, there have been substantial backlogs because of the interest in the program to receive those employee retention credits.
Senator Carlson? Okay.
Yes. Well, I still don't totally understand, but I think if the testifiers, both testifiers, are comfortable with their explanation, I guess we can move on. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you, Senator Carlson. Senator Carlson, just take down your hand just so I know that I'm keeping current with hands raised at this time. All right, with that, thank you, Mr. Whitworth. I will say, though, that there continues to be some controversy in regards to the interpretations of the Minnesota Historical Society. And also, I hear the quasi-agency, but in fact, the Historical Society is a nonprofit. And I appreciate the history of that. I think there's been a variety of things in the past, and you and I, Mr. Kelleher, we've had several conversations and other ones as well. But I appreciate the opportunity to have you come here today, and there are other opportunities for the conversations we have had. And in the past, I had hoped that we would do more on-site tours with you, but like many other things over the last couple of years, there's been an interruption in that. We'll kind of see what the future may bring here. But thank you for being here today in person. It's good to see you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's great to see you, and we look forward to visiting with you and members of the committee at any number of our historic sites as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, members, this concludes our agenda for today. I yield you back a few minutes of time today. I know it's all precious hours, so, but we will be meeting again tomorrow with another full agenda, and I look forward to seeing all of you at that time. And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you.